I'm going to have you guys play around with editing this one page. It's the only one available on the site right now. We've got revisions, we've got backups, so feel free to break anything if you're just trying to figure out like what happens if you do this. Do it, it's fine. Um, but first of all, I just kind of wanted to give you an overview of how the interface works since I know you guys are new to Gutenberg and you watch some of the other videos, and this is a new interface from even those videos. So we're using all core blocks, so you'll only see core blocks here on the left hand side. In my other videos, I had like these custom theme ones, and clearly I have them here, but we're not going to use any of those, so I will delete them. These are not any blocks that we're using on your site. Everything on your site is a core block, and so it's going to be represented as like individual elements in this outline here. So I use this outline a lot. I would definitely recommend it for you as well. And what I've done is I've grouped at pretty much every row. So it's kind of easy to go through and like jump to different spots. And when you insert new content, it'll look very similar to this. We'll do that shortly. But mostly I wanted to show you like existing content, how do you edit this? And for the most part, you literally just delete whatever you don't want or just like select it and write a new headline. Here for the image, I can click on replace and then open media library and select something else. A lot of the blocks, there's a lot of things that work similarly. There's some stuff that works a little differently and it's a little weird of an interface. I'm sure it'll change over time. But it's really kind of just playing with it. I mean, I think there's definitely a learning curve. By having it set up this way, you'll be able to kind of just like replace what you need. But you'll still find that figuring out how to even replace something, or if you wanted to build a new kind of layout, it's going to take a minute to figure that out. So main takeaways that I want for you guys for this first delivery is just come in here and like edit text and not try and mess with any of the layout. Even the images, you can try and change those out because like I said, for some of these, you're going to click replace, but like on other ones, if you have this sidebar open, you'll have like different options here. So this is like media and text versus this just media. So like it's going to look a little different, and I just want you to play around with clicking through here and seeing what happens. Some of this will look different when I actually send it to you because I'm going to upload some new code that fixes a few of these things. So changing out text, changing out images. What I would love for you to try and avoid at this point, or that's not really true. I want you to try anything you're interested in, including like if you want to try and break stuff. Like if you come down here and you see like additional classes and you want to delete that and see what happens, go for it. I'm not worried at all because I'll just reset this page to what I currently have. There will be on Wednesday a point where I'm like, okay, let's start actually updating content to what you want it to say and look like. But right now, I just want you guys to play around with using this kind of interface. So my main goal is for you guys to change out content. What you could do that is not a priority for me is play around with like changing layout stuff. So if you see like this group and you're like, I actually want the background to be a different color, try and figure out how you make that happen. Because it's a little tedious. I don't think you need to do it, but it might be something interesting to you to figure out. I clicked Control Z and it jumped me all the way down there. Let me go back up here. Also, like kind of how this is like two row, what am I trying to say? There's different spacing elements as well. So if I click on this like top level group and I come in here, I see all these spacing settings. Basically, a lot of these things on the right hand side here are going to get like pretty advanced. And it's not a priority for me that you guys understand how you change any of that stuff, because my whole job is to make patterns that prevent you from having to do any of that. My goal is to make patterns that when you insert it, you just change out the content and you're good to go. You change the image, you change the button where it links to text. Actually, I'll show you query loops real quick, but that's like my whole goal. So everything else that you want to play with, go for it, have fun, mess around with it. Don't worry about breaking it, but that's also like not really what I need you guys to do or know or anything like that. So the query loop is what I'll end on real quick. this query loop is kind of a pain, but it is something you guys will have to have a little bit of experience with because you'll want to use this block and change out these posts. So there's there's this replace button, which we did on the image. Probably don't want to use it because it's going to change the layout. There's this filter button, which would let me change like how many items. Again, it's going to change the layout. What I would focus on is only changing content in the sidebar here that's underneath filters or selective posts. And this might change because we wrote this plugin just for you guys, so I might change this interface a little bit. But this is how you would change out which posts show. So right now I'm saying pull the 2 latest posts from Baking Science versus inside of Best Summer Recipes. If I go to Query Loop, I'm telling it to pull selective posts and then I'm ordering these posts that I want. So like these are showing up in the order that I've written them. So there is like those 2 different ways. Let me see if I did anything else. I think crowd favorites. So you'll notice whenever I click on this, it's selecting post template and I'm having to go use this outline to select query loop. I find this outline like critical for navigating. Like this is a pretty complex kind of setup and some of these blocks are even more complex. Let me see if I can find one. I think this one is actually pretty, like you can see it's a group inside of a group that has columns, that has 2 different columns, and then each of those columns, like just this layout here has all these different elements. So that's kind of what I'm like, you don't have to worry about changing any of this stuff. I want you guys to focus on just changing out content. And if you want a different layout, just submit a request and be like, hey, we like this block. Can we have a variation that looks like this or does that? And I'll either show you guys, I'll either make one for you if that makes sense, or if it's like a query or something, I'll teach you guys how you can change that content out. Sorry, I got distracted. I was going to see if there was another type of query we did. I think these are all based on categories. This one's manual, so this is not a query at all. It's a grid and I'm manually putting in images and buttons. This is categories. So pretty much everything I've done so far has just used categories. I think that'll be an interesting area for you guys to play around with and see if we need something else. But the selective post should be the other main piece. Okay, I'm sure this video is longer than I expected it to be. Takeaway here, test changing out content, trying to figure out how things work, like just by clicking around and being like, can I break this? Does it look the way I want it to? Can we have a different block? Whatever, that sort of thing, without necessarily being like, oh, I need to build my own kind of layout. I'll build the layouts for you guys. You guys try and change content. Let me know how that goes for you.